More of the conversation with Centralia Mayor Tim Grinke is available on our website at kbia.org. We've heard about the latest round of state budget cuts, but in this week's commentary, Jason Rosenbaum takes it a step further and he looks at what could be on the chopping block next. He suggests that the legislature may look at reducing tax credits in the wake of continued slumping revenues.
What would you do with $634 million? If I had my way, which of course rarely occurs, I would construct the world's largest water slide, purchase a gold-plated monster truck, and move the hated Philadelphia Phillies to scenic Bismarck, North Dakota. But Governor Jay Nixon and the Missouri General Assembly could use those funds for a less comical purpose. That aforementioned amount is the total cash that Nixon has withheld or vetoed since taking office earlier this year. He added about $204 million to that total last week. Among the broad-based cuts made last week include a more than $3 million restriction to the university hospital system. Nixon also lowered some selected Medicaid reimbursements, froze money to refurbish state buildings, and eliminated hundreds of state government positions. Missouri's situation is not exactly unique. Most states are facing budgetary problems. Some states have paired budgetary cuts with increased taxes as a way to forestall deficits. That scenario is unlikely to occur in the Show Me State, mainly because there are massive structural impediments against raising taxes. First, tax hikes would have to be passed through the legislature, which is unlikely to happen in the Republican-controlled General Assembly. If that doubtful event occurs, the tax increase would then have to go to the voters. And while it's hard to predict Missourian voting patterns, it's not going to be easy to convince people to boost taxes during an economic slowdown. It's also unlikely that the basis structure of the state's tax system will change very much. Efforts, for example, to replace the state income tax with a beefed-up sales tax haven't been legislatively successful. A more likely possibility, especially in the coming legislative session, is a continued examination of tax credits and economic incentives. The legislature took some steps earlier this year, including what was widely deemed as a mild cap on the historic preservation tax credit. With revenue dissipating, it wouldn't be surprising if the legislature went even further to clamp down on some incentives. Like budget cuts, reining in tax credits won't be painless. It could make it harder for people to get incentives to spruce up old buildings or provide businesses with less motivation to create certain types of jobs. But barring a burst of revenue from a state footstool boom, policymakers may not have any other options. I'm Jason Rosenbaum.
Thanks for listening to this week's Talking Politics. Remember, podcasts of this show and all of our shows are available on our website at kbia.org.